Hello, everybody. This is Moms on the Right. I'm Scarlett Johnson. I'm here with Rosalind Hanson and Jamie Hinkle. And for me, it's a big day because I live in Wisconsin and it's April 1st and we have some really big elections, but we're going to table that. We're going to talk about that a little bit longer, but we want to start off with some stories that are happening. For me, there are things happening in other parts of this country. I'm kind of consumed by the state Supreme Court race, state superintendent race, and all the other school board races. But let's start off with what's going on with you guys. What topics do you want to talk about?
Well, I think we could talk about, one of the first is I think we all saw the Westfield High School in Fairfax County, Virginia, with their, student-led ABC installation on the walls there, where A was for abortion, we had M for mansplain.
A for justice, H is hold or something along with Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't see all of that.
Leadership was
that. And it is for now. Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't even see some of that stuff. I'm going to find the image, but what happened? While you guys talk about it, I'm going to look.
I think it was a women's studies course in high school, and so the students came together. I think there was a couple versions of this ABC list in a high school. So I think the hope is that we know our ABCs by the time we get to high school.
And this is and it was in
fruit.
Women's History Month, right?
Right, for March, for Women's History Month, and so it was a lot of like oppression, communism.
You just have to scratch your head at why, right? Like, this is Women's History Month. It should be really celebratory. Here at Moms for Liberty, we're celebrating some of America's founding mothers, and we have awards about our founding mothers, inspirational, positive, people who have made monumental change. And here we are reminding, when you think about it, a ninth grade, a girl is 14 years old, and A is for abortion. Is that
not only A is for abortion, but A is for abortion with a photo of a hanger.
With a hanger, yes. Yeah.
So here's some of the images. And if you so here's some of the different. T is for trans women. Mm-hmm. See that. So women's studies, women's history, and we're supposed to celebrate men and women face. Let's see. Q is for queer. Well, of course, it's interesting how all, women's history, pride, everything is somehow tainted or, now it's all queer or trans. So if you care about women's rights, you pretty much have to exclusively care about trans rights, meaning you have to care about men who pretend to be women. And instead of actual women, you're supposed to celebrate pretend women. And that's how you show you're a good little feminist.
Well, this is misogyny, right? Like, we're taking away Women's History Month and replacing it with other things. We could have done an alphabet of strong women from our founding to today, right? And highlighted those women. And Jamie, I think you broke a story too about a homework assignment that happened in Virginia where one of the history lessons, one of the women was actually a trans woman that they could have done research on, and the teacher took it back. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that was down in Florida. And so it was presented, there was the list or the wheel of, who are you going to get, who's going to be assigned to you. And it was, I don't know, it was a man. It was a woman of, a cover feature in a magazine of Woman of the Year who was a man. And, thankfully in that situation, the parents did some research and reached out to the teacher, and she apologized and, made a mistake. But
and here in West Springfield and Fairfax, the superintendent has doubled down and is celebrating and applauding this, right?
Yes,
the people at the top.
Critical thinking.
Yeah, you can see the image here.
The A is for what it represents.
Yeah, I see the A is for abortion. There's a hanger and a pregnancy test. That's horrible. I mean, in a school, in a high school, this display, you pass by in the hallways all the time. That's just not okay to me. And
No, that's not educational. That's not that's
No,
not health. That's not safe.
it's activism. It's
Mhm.
straight activism, not education. Just
And this is just another example for Fairfax County Schools, right? They're already under investigation, a civil rights complaint, thanks to America First Legal. So this is just another printed out. Here's another example of why they're going to end up losing their federal funding.
P is for patriarchy. M is for mansplain. Look here. S is for scientific, and you see again a pregnancy test and birth control. Like this is all women care about.
yeah, O was for objectification, where it's three men, looking at a woman walking by. S is for sisters.
Yeah.
And then you have in the middle, you have R for Rosa Parks. I mean, how
I mean,
what a
that's
roller
this
coaster
is a
ride
good
of-
one right here. T is for triumph. That's great. But then U is for unbossed. So I'm not sure what that is, but
Because we traded unboss for girl boss. We can't just be boss on our own, right? Like we have to have some subladle. Yeah.
oh yeah, because you can't put a gender to it. It has to be.
They're straight, like M is for musician. It was like they're so close.
I love this, the Ken doll, the patriarchy. I have to say, like that I thought he stole. I saw the Barbie movie several times because I have daughters, and I thought Ken stole the show. Like it was funny.
I did not watch Barbie. I have no idea.
I will echo that. I think Ken stole the show.
He did. He did. What did he call it? The casa. The Barbie house that he made into the men's casa, and then I thought it was funny because when he went into the human world and suddenly from the Barbie land, it was to me, he was hilarious. So it made I didn't really like Barbie at all. But I liked Ken. So
the other story we have is I sent this earlier from sageslaw.org. We have Governor Youngkin is to sign an amendment to House Bill 1678 that it just includes like keeping parents in the conversation. Like there should not be a time or a place where secrets are kept from parents, and so it's really important. You can go to sageslaw.org. There's links up on my Twitter page. I think Scarlett, you might have shared also from the Family Foundation that has an advocacy link where it's super easy to put in your name and address and send just an email of support to Governor Youngkin and to our legislators to sign this bill to keep parents involved in the day-to-day education and awareness of our students in schools. If you don't know about Sage's story, I mean that's a whole read for another day also.
I'm going to put up an image of that.
And I think that's really cool that website is like, hey, if you don't live in Virginia, but you still want to advocate for this for Virginian parents and families, here's a way to do that too. Because even though like I might live in Maryland, you live in Virginia, Wisconsin, like I care what's happening in your states. I want your children to have the best education possible. I want your families protected too. So if I can find the time to advocate, I will. So it was a great step for them to do that.
So Governor Youngkin's going to sign this tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the bill is about just I think the mental health of not keeping records of mental health, and so it was amended to include just verbiage more from the original Sage's Law, which of course was not passed because we don't have people. We have a. I know.
It's horrible. I actually went to see Senator Johnson when I was in DC for the Heritage Summit that we were at. And that is the day that Sage's Law was brought to the floor. And he and his staff, I met him right before they were getting ready to go vote on it. And I just remember I couldn't believe that Democrats could not bring themselves to vote for this for Sage's Law. It made no sense to me. Again, it's one of those things, this is just common sense. There shouldn't be any partisanship about this. Why can't you just put aside the partisanship on certain occasions when you're doing good, and the majority of Americans want this legislation? Why can't you just set aside and just do the right thing?
I wonder what it would look like in like radical transparency. Imagine a world where when votes were happening in the House and Senate, whether it's at your state level or at your federal level, if the American people got to communicate to, like, I know we can send in letters and all of that, but like almost like a survey monkey, like, hey, this vote is coming up on Sage's Law. People who are represented by me, you have until this date to weigh your vote in. Do you want me to vote for or against? Right? Like that would be the most representative way instead of going down party lines. I guarantee you, going back to Save Girls Sports, that would have passed. Like if it went to the people truly, instead of the people that we elected to represent us and don't, this whole landscape, this political landscape would look very, very different.
Well, that's why we're trying to decentralize things, because it's not easy to fly down to DC and go talk to your representative, or even and that's mainly what you'll have to do, or try and schedule some kind of office hours with your senator who is half the time in DC or doing other things. That the more local that we can get, the better. That's why, the Trump administration and DOJ are trying to decentralize things, including the Department of Education, so that we have the right to redress. We can go somewhere and actually talk to someone, or we can protest, or we can feel like we have more of a say. But when everything's done in DC, you sort of like shrug your shoulders and think, well, what can I do about it? And except for vote for a new senator every 6 years. And man, these statewide elections, there's so much money. Going through this again in Wisconsin, the amount of money that you have to raise just to be competitive as a conservative is insane. It's insane. Locally, everyone is assuming Elon Musk he's putting tons of money in Wisconsin. He's putting money in Wisconsin, but it's nothing even close, not even close to George Soros, to Act Blue, to the Hollywood glitterati, to Bill Gates, to the Illinois governor. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what she's spending. I think now it's 2 or 3 to 1, whereas it used to be 10 to 1 outspent.
So we're closing the gap, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, we're closing the gap, and they're upset about that. They're still spending 2 to 1. She's spending more. She spent $5 million. Susan Crawford, who is a Dane County liberal, very radical activist judge who's running against the more conservative, common sense Judge Brad Schimmel for a state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. She spent over $5 million last week on ads. Last week.
I saw a video of her defending the case with the pedophile that molested the little girl, who she said she upheld the law to like the full extent, and he was out after 2 years, and she was completely like, I support.
Mm-hmm.
How is this the world that we're living in?
Well, and then she puts out ads that Brad Schimmel is weak on crime. I mean, and that you just know that's not true. It's a lot of lies, but she's not tough on crime. Dane County is the most liberal. It's in Madison, Wisconsin capital, the most liberal. It's pretty much communist there. And so she's extremely to the left. She was a lawyer for, I believe, the ACLU, a lawyer for Planned Parenthood, a lawyer for teachers unions. I mean, it's bad. If she wins, it's not good. And the reason why it's important to everyone listening, no matter where you live, because Hakeem Jeffries and even my Democrat senator, Tammy Baldwin, was in my neck of the woods in Mequon, Wisconsin at a rally for Susan Crawford. And they basically said, hey, if she wins, we're going to redraw congressional districts in Wisconsin to be fair. And they want to draw out 2 or 3 congressional representatives that are Republican. We have a 3-vote majority right now. They draw our congressional lines and they bump out 2 or 3 congressmen. It is very likely that in 2026 we lose control of the House, and we will see a repeat of what the Democrats did to Trump in 2016 to 2020, and it'll be the I mean, if you think what's happening with judges is bad, the Democrats will be like, hold my beer, because they're gonna just dismantle everything that he's done, stop everything that he's doing, and nothing. And then he'll, on top of it, he'll be, it'll be the last 2 years of his presidency, so there won't be a whole lot getting done.
No, and I think sometimes again, I don't live in Wisconsin, but I sent out my prayer chain today. I'm like, what can I do? Right? Like I can't get there and door knock, but I sent to all, like, please pray that Brad Schimmel gets elected, to all of my people who don't live there, and trying, because people don't understand that the local election, or maybe a lot more and more people do. I shouldn't assume that the local elections matter and they have a ripple up effect. Not necessarily the ripple down effect that we think is the case. So school board elections matter because they roll up to county council, because they roll up to your state house, to your state Supreme Court, and then it goes to federal. So it really starts there.
Yeah, that's something that Senator Johnson and I, there's a message at the end of this. I'll play a little clip that I was able to make when I was on the campaign trail with the Schimmel bus. We did this bus tour throughout Wisconsin, and I was able to represent Moms for Liberty and talk about local elections and school board races while they're talking about all the other big races. And so Senator Johnson said, he believes in trickle up, not trickle down, that if people come out and vote for their school board, their local, their county board, I mean, there's a lot of other races, as you guys know, like there's the county executive, there's DA, mayor. Yeah. Lots of these nonpartisan elections. And so people come out to vote in their local community, that it'll trickle up. But they will also think, okay, well, I'll vote for state superintendent. I'll vote for, the state Supreme Court race. I mean, if every Trump voter came out to vote, who didn't early vote already, if they came out to vote today, we'd win in a landslide.
I think that's where Moms for Liberty has been so successful in the last 4 years, is really focusing on those local elections, like the school board races. I mean, even for myself, right? I always went and voted, but now Moms for Liberty chapter chairs and members are not only going out to vote, but they're supporting their school board candidates. They're hosting forums with other candidates for county positions, or their senators, delegates, meet and greets, forums, town halls, just getting information out about those candidates. I mean, it's so impactful, not to say, oh, well, you can go and vote for, the state level or federal elections, but, and then, oh, like just pick someone. It's like being informed at the most local level. And then, like you said, the trickle up to who's supporting what I want to see in my community.
So I think a lot of people don't. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, so you were just at the Elon Musk rally. You were just on with Charlie Kirk. So I wanted to hear, like, those are some big, you just had a video with Senator Johnson. Like, these are some big, big, big moments in your life. I mean, you've been an activist for a while, but like, kudos, one, and also tell us about it.
Well, thank you. And, when I think about the 5 years ago, Jamie, just like we said, I didn't even vote for a school board candidate because I didn't know who they were. And I figured, like, I legitimately, there's no R. I would vote, for the big races, like, okay, Republican. And I have to admit, I voted for Republicans. I didn't know like a thing about them, had never met them. I figured, I listened to Rush Limbaugh, and, you know, I was a conservative. So that's it. Um, and then when I was in the military, lots of times we didn't vote because it was like such a complicated process. And we didn't put the time in to vote. I lived in Virginia for a while, and I maintained my Wisconsin residence. I didn't vote in Wisconsin. Like, I didn't get my special ballot or anything. And so you now look where I'm at. So you can change, obviously, like you can be
You
motivated.
have to change.
You
I
have
think
to
we have to change.
Change. If I had been more involved earlier, I just imagine, but you can't, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know how important these elections were. And I let other people make the decisions for me. And I should never have acquiesced that level of power to anyone. Like, that's my father was in the military. Yeah, he thought people died for our ability to engage and to have choices. Frankly, I don't love billionaires like deciding elections. I don't love it at all. But since Democrats, that's pretty much the like, they've got a, lock on all these wealthy people, and they are funding elections. I am I am so thrilled that Elon Musk is on our side, because we've got one. It's like we've
It's
got
not even just the billionaires. It's our local GOPs too. I think that there's something to be said about, does your local GOP have an education committee? And, who's weighing in on that endorsement for the school board candidates? Even if they have an R, like, is that what you would support as a parent, without just a blind endorsement?
And
I
don't
go
we
back
all know
to-
that now? That you can't just blindly say, "Hey, R." And,
Right.
in conservative areas, sometimes there's two competing conservative candidates. I know that there's some areas like in Waukesha where it's a very conservative area, and there are two conservatives running, and then you have to kind of do your research. Like, are they, who am I going to choose? Like, who would better represent me of these two conservative candidates? So you and just because they have an R doesn't mean that they're a good candidate, or they're going to support, your values. Like, you've got to, and if there is a Republican running unopposed and they're not a very good candidate, then you've got to decide, hey, do I want to challenge that person, and say, hey, I'm going to do something better. And that's important. But Elon Musk rally was amazing. I was able to sit like right up front, right center, and he just answered questions pretty much. He had a very short little speech. He had a cheese head on, and when you guys talk the next time, I'll pull up some images. But he had a cheese head on, and then he signed it and threw it into the audience. I was like, oh, I would have loved that. But he seems pretty nice, but what the main takeaway from up close watching him listen 2 hours of answering questions, he makes so much sense. He's the way he thinks is just, it's common sense. It's business. It's matter of fact. He's not radical. He's not extreme. He's not an ideologue, a right-wing ideologue. He is almost like he was going to wave, and then he pulled back and he said, "Oh, I better be careful about how I wave." Like, I could see him like he was self-conscious. Like, he was the way, and I saw him several times about to do something, and he kind of like pulled back, because he's realizing, oh, everyone's watching everything that I do and everything that I say. One of the funny things he said was, I'm getting like, my staff told me, hey, it's a better day. I only got 17,000 death threats today versus 18,000 yesterday. He said, you know what? It's just not cool to say you're going to murder somebody. And it's like, I'm
Common
like, yeah,
sense. Yeah.
it's not cool. He was just like, it's just kind of like, it's just not cool. It's not cool to say people say. And you're laughing because it's the way he's doing it is just kind of cute. It's like, I just kind of think that's not cool. Or, when you have 1,100 F or IRS employees that do nothing but hand someone a phone and a computer. That's all that they do. They register in hand. That's kind of a waste of money, in my opinion. And everyone's like, yeah, I agree. I think that's a waste of money. And then when he pulled out charts showing under Biden, the increase in Social Security numbers assigned, and for each of those numbers, there were paychecks and voter IDs. I mean, talk about buying elections. I mean, you're importing voters, paying them off using our tax dollars, and then handing them a voter ID so that they will vote themselves more money. That's buying an election. That's the bad stuff. And that's the stuff they're trying to get rid of. And every stop we had, there was an anti-Elon protest. Forget Trump. Trump's old news. Old news. They're
Old
like,
news.
it was all Elon. And they'd come up to me with a camera like fascist. And so I would just, hi, like, hey, God bless you.
That was
Have a
the story.
conversation?
The story I shared the other day about 2 houses down from me, my friend who's a realtor, remember that she said that it was a slow day on Saturday. It was like the first day in Virginia. It's been sunny and 75 degrees on the weekend. And so just a couple of people that stopped and lived in our neighborhood. We live in a more conservative neighborhood in Fauquier County, or in, county in Virginia. And as soon as she had said, he came in, he said, oh, why are they moving? And she said that he worked with the DOD and was going to relocating. And he just goes, F Elon, he's a son of a bitch. And she was
Swear
like,
jar.
swear jar, yes, one for the swear jar. But she was just like taken aback, and it had been funny because earlier in the day I'd asked her what time the open house started, and she goes, you're not bringing your MAGA parade down here to try to pick your own neighbor. And I was like, come on, like, don't do me wrong.
Parade.
Let me. And so after that happened, she texted me and was like, what time can you be here tomorrow in case any of these others, crazies come through here? But I mean, she was like, this guy was in this house for 10 minutes before he just unloaded his Elon derangement syndrome on me.
Yeah.
It's real.
They unload on us, and that's the whole thing. I was talking to Brittany Kinzer, who is the state superintendent candidate, who has donated to Democrats in the past. She's an independent now, but she's like, I was a Democrat, but she's like, I was just not political. I was so focused on what she was doing in education. She has ran charter schools, principal, like just completely, involved in education. And thankfully she decided to run for this seat. And she was telling me that she has family members that are like, well, you're MAGA now. And she's like, no, I'm running, and I'm running for this. And I don't agree with what's happening in education. Like, kids can't read. All of this focus on political stuff in schools and boys and girls bathrooms, like, they've got the eye off the ball. Like, I just want kids to be educated, and I want to, and I will comply with, executive orders because I don't want our state to lose funding. She's a very reasonable person, not at all political. And she's telling me that she's had to learn to have a thick skin, and she cannot believe, she's like, you all have embraced me in the Republican Party and on the right. Like, you're embraced me. You don't judge me. You know my politics, and you don't care as long as I'm going to do something different, educate kids. She's like, but on the far left, I'm experiencing something so different. The good news is in Milwaukee, which Milwaukee Public Schools, in the nation's report card, they ranked last in the country.
Really?
4% of Black children in Milwaukee schools can read at grade level. 4%. It's the worst in the whole country. She is getting the endorsement of many Black Democrats, publications, Black newsletters, Black civil rights groups that aren't and this is where we can make inroads with the Black and Hispanic community because they're not crazy yet. They're traditionally Democrats, but they're not crazy like the woke white women. They see what's happening in their communities. They know that education is the life raft that will get their kids, so too many kids that will, you know, their future will be poverty or low income if they don't get educated. And they want their community to rise. And so they're supporting her openly. They're endorsing her. Even Governor Evers won't endorse our current DPI head, Jill Underly. So I am optimistic. I wasn't sure if she would get any endorsements from folks that call themselves Democrats. I'm happy that there are still groups out there that are putting the politics aside and saying, you know what, we're going to endorse her, even though Republicans are also endorsing her because she's a good candidate and she'll do the right thing. She's not.
Education shouldn't be partisan. Hey, let me ask you, Scarlett. So with Wisconsin and it kind of being like the whole nation's watching, when will we know? Like when will we be able to know tonight, like we should with an election, of who won, school board races or state superintendent or Supreme Court?
I think it's good news if we don't know right away, because I'll put up an image of some recent Trafalgar voting data as far as the state Supreme Court race. There's no polling done on any other races, not even state superintendent. They can't adequately model that. Jill Underly will have the advantage of the Wisconsin Democrat Party supports her and teachers unions support her. So that's, there's a huge buy-in. I'm hoping that there are enough sane educators out there, and I think that there are. I think that there are a lot of educators that they may not agree with me on 60, 80% of things, but they know we're right on education. They live it every day. They know that there's something wrong, there's something broken, and that there's way too much focus on things that don't matter and not enough on the things that do. So it's a good thing if we don't know until midnight. It could go later. If it goes later than that, that's a possibility too. I'm going to be going to the it's starting at 8:00. There's the watch parties. So I'm trying to go between the two watch parties tonight. I'll probably have a very late night tonight. I hope. If it's early, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
I had a lot of empathy for Virginia and New Jersey having to have gubernatorial races the year after. But I mean, really, Wisconsin, you guys just went right into it,
That was hard. And I think that's why the momentum didn't really start picking up until March. I think it was hard to go right back into another, but Brad Schimmel has been campaigning for 2 years. He has been going around to every county party caucus meeting for 2 years, campaigning really, really hard. But there's been very little money. There just hasn't been the big donors. And until recently, note for the future, we should be, who cares what the media says? Who cares if they say Elon's buying an election or that? They're projecting. Put the money in early when it can make a difference. There should have been ads running sooner. There also should be more women on the campaigns. There just needs to be more women. We've got to figure out that issue. I think Trump surrounds himself with tons of strong, powerful women. He has chief of staff, and he's winning. His poll numbers are still good, and I think that other Republican candidates need to look to his model. And you will struggle to find a single woman on a campaign staff in Wisconsin. There's not. Sometimes there isn't one. Maybe, and if there is one, it's not in a high level. That's something that I plan to change.
Good for you. Well, we appreciate what you're doing right now. All eyes are on Wisconsin. So
Yeah, there's a comment. It says the Wisconsin GOP has got to get out of Madison. I'm sure you can.
Yes, 100%. I would love to move the state capital, but that's going to be the Wisconsin GOP needs to get out of Madison. There are, I know, like Waukesha County, people say Washington County, but anywhere New Berlin is a huge. Washington County, I think, is our now our strongest GOP area, but in sheer numbers, I think Waukesha still is the powerhouse for conservative. And there's a lot of places for a lot of buildings available. I think we got to move it. Let's get the center cannot be Madison. It can't. Get it out of Madison, get it somewhere else. That would be very nice. And we've got Turning Point. Shout out to my Wisconsin chairman, Brian Schimming, is doing an excellent job. He is he has been a mentor to me, but the Turning Point is doing so much work. And Scott Pressler's here. I think people can see that, and that's great because he brings attention. He shines a spotlight. But there
he
are
has so much enthusiasm, right? Like it's contagious. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a social media phenomenon. He knows how to get the attention of donors, of Elon Musk, he can grab the attention of all the influencers and the media and bring it to Wisconsin and to Pennsylvania or wherever he's at. There's a lot of the unsung heroes. It's the people that are doing the work every single day. There's AFP, America for Prosperity. They do tons of door knocking. They've been doing that nonstop for Brad Schimmel. And there's the Wisconsin Republican Party. They've hired so many people to do door knocking, to do phone calls, phone banking, to come to organize events, to arrange get out the votes efforts.
How about this, Scarlett?
Oh, that's what actually Charlie Kirk's producer was like, when are you running for governor? So that was really cool. His producer
give the people what they want, Scarlett.
Give the people what they want. Let them eat cheese. No.
Let them eat cheese. Yes. That's funny.
Well, I mean, is Maryland behaving lately, Rosalind?
Yeah, let's hear about Maryland.
No, I think for all the Wisconsin people listening, this is why I live in Maryland, but Maryland's the cautionary tale for what happens if you let the Democrats take over, right? We came into Governor Wes Moore's current cycle with an over $3 billion surplus, and now we're staring the barrel down of an almost $4 billion deficit. We are going to have the largest tax increase in Maryland history, and a majority of Marylanders said that they are looking to move out of the state. One of our own Maryland state delegates, has an IT firm, because of the recent tax increases for business-to-business IT services, he's literally, as I speak, moving his IT business out of Maryland into Virginia. This is a Maryland elected official saying, I have to move my business out of this state that I represent because of the taxes. We're literally floating a tax on mattresses in addition to the 6% sales tax, right? Like I could go on and on and on about the draconian taxes that are going to cripple the state of Maryland, which was one of our 13 colonies. So I care about what happens in Virginia. I care about what happens in Wisconsin, because I sit here and I'm like a screaming example of what can happen if you don't pay attention to your local elections, if you let unions take control, if you let taxation by your government be the North Star instead of independence, instead of liberty.
And
no, things are not good here in the state of Maryland. Yeah.
We have been spoiled with our lower taxes. We've been spoiled. We had Scott Walker as governor for a long time. And then even though we've had the worst governor, Tony Evers, who calls us moms inseminated persons, he hasn't been able to get anything done because we've had a Republican assembly and a Republican Senate. we also had a very conservative state Supreme Court, which is why Wisconsinites, our masking ended May 2020 because we had a conservative Supreme Court. So that conservative Supreme Court was able to kind of block a lot of things even after Evers was elected. And then we lost a big election in 2022. With Dan Kelly, we lost, and we got Janet Protasewicz. And when she got on, immediately they redrew all of our maps, and we lost 10 assembly races and I think 5 state Senate races. Now it is a very slim GOP majority. With this loss, I think they will redraw congressional maps. I think they're going to redraw our state maps, and I think it's going to be dark days for Wisconsin. It'll be tough.
I just saw something pop up. Republicans face possible rebellion over hardball tactic on proxy voting. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, let's put that in.
Let's
Tony
see.
Neff. I have to do this. Tony Neffers.
Can we see this?
Oh, where's
Looks
what's
like
that?
an effort by Speaker Mike Johnson to stop Representative Anna Paulina Luna's push for allowing proxy voting for new parents is on thin ice as a number of Republicans warn they may vote against the leadership's hardball tactic. Yeah, what do we think?
She asked for proxy voting for when you're on maternity. Is that right?
Yes.
Maternity leave? Yes. Yeah.
No, well, was it just for maternity leave? I'm not sure.
What's
She
their
left the Freedom
hardball
Caucus
tactic?
as a result, right?
Hold on,
I mean, I would probably want to learn a little bit more about it, but I'm okay with that. I think again, you're not going to get more women to do this if we're not going to, and we're a party that's saying we support traditional conservative values. We want moms to spend time with their newborn baby, but we also want them to get involved in politics. So if we're going to say that, then I think we need to reimagine some of the ways that we do things and make it easier for conservative women who aren't aborting their babies and who aren't like going on sex strikes with their husband because they can't have an abortion even after it's born. Then I think we should accommodate. You can make it specific. It doesn't have to be for a year, but I don't mind having an accommodation because I want to be a party that has more young women, more conservative women in leadership positions.
I don't know. I kind of want to push back on it. Like, we elected you to represent us in Washington, right? And we have a mobile society today where you can take your baby anywhere at any time. We've seen mothers on the floor voting. So if you have an illness that confines you to a bed, right, like where you can't physically travel, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit archaic to ask for this accommodation. And then where does the accommodation stop? Does it stop at paternity leave? Does it stop like what if you want to go serve your military, which is very commendable, right? Like, but you're already serving your country by going and representing us in Washington, D.C. So I think it's a slippery slope, this concept of accommodation.
So what would be a solution then? Maybe like childcare, like some kind of option to make it. Yeah, I think we could just find a solution. Like
find a solution versus saying no. Yeah. And I mean, there are oftentimes, I don't know the statistics, but there are a lot of, elected officials who don't show up for the actual votes. And it's like, well, where were you? If you weren't there representing me, what were you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I think let's find a solution because you don't want it. There is the slippery slope like that. Oh, I have back pain. I have my period. Sorry.
I had to get my hair done. Yeah.
That is important.
And I'm not saying that childbirth is like hair dye. Clearly, I think we can all recognize that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you need a key vote, like maybe you delay the vote for if she's just had a child and can't fly, like, okay, let's delay the vote for 2 weeks or something. But I think let's try and find a solution. And if the overall message is it's really tough to have children and do this thing, then let's figure out a solution that would help Democrat women too. This would be a way for bipartisanship. Hey, we want women with children to be in office, whether you're Democrat or Republican. So do we need better childcare options? Oh, and we define mothers, not an inseminated person.
Right. Or is like proxy, for example, going back to my original idea, who does the proxy default to, right? Does it default to the speaker? Well, shouldn't it really default to the people you represent? So how are you getting a vote from your people, right? To say, okay, I can't be at this vote because I have a health condition. So what do my people want me to do? And that's the proxy, not what the speaker said. Going back to representing us, not the collective of elected officials.
And I don't want this to be a scapegoat, a way to get out of a hard vote either.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, we're having a good, I think.
So it's,
what's your thoughts, Jamie?
Well, it says it's planning, Representative Anna Paulina, who gave birth to her first child in 2023, is planning to force a floor vote this week on a resolution that would allow new mothers and fathers in the House to be able to vote remotely through a proxy for up to 12 weeks. However, it says it's being fiercely opposed by Johnson and his leadership team. I don't know. I mean, I think in those ways, there has to be a solution. I don't know if it can just be. No, I mean, if we're the party of supporting family and children, then there has to be a better solution than to just say no.
Yeah, we need to do some things that make it easier for women with children to be involved in the political office. And I love seeing in the Trump White House these young staffers bringing their kids.
Right. Like, Caroline Leavitt brought her son, I think, to the Maha Moms roundtable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it. It's the message, because we've got, I know that's why I stopped engaging in politics. I had kids, and it's a male dominated world, and it's becoming less so. And one of the things, again, I admire so much about what Trump does is he puts women in leadership positions in a way that's very unique for most Republicans. And Senator Johnson's another one. He also has female staffers. He has women working for him. When we were on the campaign trail, shout out to Pam. Hi, Pam. And MJ. So they get some guys, they get it, and some don't.
Well, and I think we get it, right? Like, one of the things that we all recognize as members of Moms for Liberty is that it is really, really hard to volunteer and be politically engaged and do anything outside of motherhood when you're in the throes that we're in right now. That's one of the biggest challenges. So it's not to be unempathetic or unsympathetic. I think the answer can't be yes. The answer can't be no. The answer has to be somewhere in between, where your family is blending in with your volunteer and your work, right? Like that, let's bring the kid to work day kind of concept. Do you remember that when I grew up going, take your daughter to work day?
Well, the great thing about Moms, like what we're doing Moms for Liberty, it starts out as volunteering, and how many of our volunteers end up working in the White House, or working for a congressman, or working for
going into elected office themselves. Yeah.
We've got, in my home state, we've got Amanda Nedweski, who was a Kenosha County vice or I've always mixed that up. We have the chair, and then we have the co-chair, right? Or what am I saying it wrong? The vice chair. But anyway, the second in command. She was the second in command, and she ran for assembly, and now she's an elected representative, and she's on key committees. They redrew her map, trying to draw her out, and she won. She's a fighter. She's scrappy, red hair, awesome, love her. And so, and there's more. We've got
Sam
several.
Fett in Iowa. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, she's doing great work.
But speaking to that of having to balance it all, I need us to come to a close, or I need to at least leave so I can
Yep.
go do school pickup and
Yes.
keep balancing that act that is being
Yeah,
joyful
you're on
warrior,
Eastern.
advocate, and mom.
Yeah, you're on Eastern time, so I've got an hour, so I'm just gonna stay here. Just kidding.
Just to keep saying vote, vote,
Yeah,
vote.
go vote. If you're in Wisconsin, go vote.
If anyone knows me, because I did podcast interviews early on. It was like 4 hours. We're just like talking. Like there's 2 people watching. Like, oh, we'll just keep talking. Why not? It's fine. No one's watching at this point. So
I have one on the couch, so I have to go check in on her. I made her lunch and popped on here. But Scarlett, you're doing a phenomenal job. All the ambassadors and everyone on the ground in Wisconsin, we're praying and not only if you don't live in Wisconsin, if you know someone that lives in Wisconsin, ask them if they went and voted, and if not,
And ask them if they're a member of Moms for Liberty.
and go to Moms for Liberty X page or my X page and repost some of our stuff on voting today. Even if you live in a different state, who knows, it's how you generate the algorithm with X. So you repost it, and then somebody who doesn't follow me or doesn't follow Moms for Liberty, if you repost it, they might see it and think, oh, okay, I should do that. So repost. There's a lot of really good posts. And so thanks for coming on. I'm going to stay on just a few extra minutes. I'm going to show some of the graphics and some of the posts that people can look at and repost. And then I'm going to get off and go get my daughter and then head out and try and find more ways to get people out to vote today.
Keep
all right,
thanks
Katie.
for coming on. I love you.
Thank you. Love you too. Bye.
I don't know how to leave. Hold on.
Oh, here, I can. Here. All right. Now it's just me, and I'm just going to do a few more things really fast because I want to show. So here we go. This is what we were talking about this. So I was very, very happy to be asked to be on the Charlie Kirk show. Amazing. It was an amazing honor. I'm so grateful. Producers, Larry and Andrew, thank you so much. Larry in particular, who got a hold of me last week, even when I was on vacation with my family. We had great talk. He did great work prepping me, and amazing team with Turning Point. I've had nothing but excellent experiences with the Turning Point Wisconsin, with Brett, Sam, Brandon. So working together as coalitions, grassroots organizations, trying to get out the vote. And so thrilled with my local Wisconsin leadership in the GOP. So can't say enough good things about everyone on the campaign. I was with Scott Walker on the campaign yesterday. Oh my gosh, former Governor Scott Walker is just brilliant. And when he talks with such ease. Senator Ron Johnson is just amazing. He's become a mentor to me as well. And he is just so bright, such a great speaker off the cuff, always inspiring. And then Congressman Brian Stile, my Congressman Glenn Grothman, who always makes himself available and is always willing to answer a call or hold a meeting. So lots of great common sense leadership in Wisconsin. And then ultimately, Brad Schimmel is a tremendous judge, a tremendous person, a family man, and he's a good judge that wants to not legislate from the bench. He's not extreme at all. He is just a good, solid, conservative, good person who will do his job. If he gets that position of state Supreme Court, he's not going to look at it as a way to further his career or, call like he's not making some kind of promises to the Republican Party the way that Susan Crawford is pretty much saying, "Hey, vote for me, and you know what? I'll hand you the House of Representatives." So he's just a good, decent person. His campaign staff are working really, really hard today, and I will see them later at the watch party. And Brittany Kinzer is a great woman, and I'm a conservative. She's a moderate Democrat, but we've become friends. She's a good person. I have respect for her. If you are a Democrat, you can feel comfortable voting for her. If you are a Republican, feel comfortable voting for her. If you're an independent, libertarian, you can feel very comfortable voting for her. She is not political. She genuinely looks at the position of state superintendent as one that is not political. And that's what you want, because her job is to set the tone for all of the public schools in Wisconsin, and to educate kids. And that's not a political act. That is a necessary function of a just society, a Western society, because we want educated, intelligent, future citizens. We don't want indoctrinated, illiterate future citizens like Jill Underly wants. She wants our kids illiterate and fully indoctrinated. She sends her own kids to private schools, or she did when they were of school age. Yet she has vowed that she will end school choice. The only lifeline that many poor and disadvantaged families have, the only lifeline, she wants to get rid of that. And that is a shame. And I'll put up some more posts about that. But Jill Underly is the worst. She makes our former DPI, current governor, Tony Evers, look like he's smart. And like he was you wish for him back, and he wasn't very good either. So, this was sweet. Thank you. So what you see here I want to talk about Moms for Liberty and what we're doing. And it's a lot. It's a lot. When I first joined, we had, I think, a handful of chapters in Wisconsin, and I had just run for school board and lost for the second time because we recalled a whole bunch of school board members successfully, and then the woke army descended upon us and spent, I think, about $200,000 defeating, just a ragtag group of parents that wanted to fight back against masking and what they were doing to our kids in critical race theory. At that point, I didn't know what gender ideology was. And I never thought how bad and how corrupting this ideology is, and the various critical theories, and how entrenched they were in K through 12 education as well as in colleges. But after I lost, I got a call from a friend, and then I talked to the founders of Moms for Liberty, and I joined, and we were at that point, there were some early Wisconsin chapters, some OGs. They had done some work in Kenosha and in Polk County. But so when I got in the mix, we really things got big really fast, and we pretty much just endorsed candidates. We tried to endorse some school board candidates. There wasn't funding. There was only just us. We'll talk about you. We'll endorse you. We'll try to help you with your messaging. and do the door knocking, do the flyer drops. And that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot for the boots on the ground. Fast forward to 2025. This year, this is the largest effort that Moms for Liberty has made in our state. And we seriously are just getting started. But we finally had the funding to do an ambassador program. And so the last year I've been ambassador, as well as Bill Brewer, Laura Ackman, and Amber Infosimo, who was the very first Moms for Liberty chapter chair, as well as Teresa in Polk County. She was one of the first. Not Stephanie. Stephanie Jansen was the first in Polk County, and so as ambassadors, we've been able to travel the entire state, literally the entire state of Wisconsin, doing presentations, events, socials, going to school board meetings, helping to organize rallies, organize we really haven't organized too many. There's maybe a few protests, but mainly we have, I think, can only think of one protest, but we didn't even organize it. There were protests organized against us in Wauwatosa, and we simply were just going to the school board meeting to advocate against the sexualization of kindergartners through Advocates for Youth Comprehensive Sexuality Education. That's a whole nother stream that we can do. But I've spent several years creating a very comprehensive presentation called Woke Education. I have many iterations of it. The most recent one is the best, and it is so powerful that people will cry while watching it. And that's the PG version. If I were to show some of the other things that I have personally seen through going through curriculum, talking to parents and teachers, talking to whistleblowers who have given me curriculum or links to watch educator trainings, the things that I've seen and things that I've been able to investigate, the DEI sessions that I've been able to attend myself through the Department of Instruction that are funded with federal dollars and ESSER funds. So I've had a real inside look for many years now, and I finally put this into a presentation. I could do about 100 of these, but I try to hit these certain points. And so that presentation now has been shared with our other ambassadors, who we are going and we are showing what is happening in Wisconsin schools. We have the receipts, all the receipts. There isn't a single thing that I will say that doesn't have the evidence. And I also have a Dropbox that is very full, and it's getting more expensive because I need more and more data. But even when DPI has tried to cut off the links, I've been able to save and screen record and download. I have so much material. I've barely scratched the surface. And so that's going to be my mission even after this election. I'm going to continue to have these live streams, these webinars, so that folks who cannot attend a seminar, they can still see what's happening. When I went on the Charlie Kirk show, like you see right here, I was discussing Westosha, Wisconsin. And well, let's get back to that. First, I want to talk about, so what we're doing in Wisconsin, that's my ADD. We are engaging 400 school board races. So on some level, we have been engaging in 400 school board races across the state. We are targeting key races with PAC resources and doing texting campaigns, get out the vote efforts. We are doing phone banking, and we have targeted 300,000 plus mid-propensity voters. So these aren't even low, like we are targeting people that voted in the 2024 election, but they don't have a pattern of voting in these nonpartisan elections. So if they voted for Trump, we figure they're likely going to vote for school board candidates that we would endorse, that are common sense conservatives, and they would vote for Brittany Kinzer and they would vote for Brad Schimmel. So we have been trying to target them with the simple message to get out the vote. We don't tell them who to vote for. We are just telling them, if you care about these issues, if you want to, if you support Moms for Liberty, just get out and vote, and make sure you bring some people with you and vote for common sense, vote to protect our daughters, vote against, woke indoctrination. And so while we don't tell people who to vote for in those efforts, we are getting out the vote, and we are targeting the people that would likely vote for, the candidates that, if you're watching this, that you would support. And our Get Out the Vote ads, which I am proud to say has used some of the materials from my presentation, a little 30-second ad, it's been seen millions and millions of times. And posts that we've put up, like the one with Senator Johnson, has over 250,000 views, and that is just on X. We also have these running across multiple platforms. Today, there's a lot of promoting of posts. We're trying to promote posts all day until 8:00 p.m. to get people out to vote. And if you voted, to tell other people that it's really important to vote. So that's what we're doing, and it's a lot. And so if you don't know who to vote for school board, I've said this a bunch of times. Go to the Moms for Liberty Facebook page. Look, there's 22 chapters in Wisconsin. Look to see which chapter is in your county or closest to you. I'm going to check my DMs after this and see if I have any questions about who to vote for and try to help with that. Go to momsforliberty.org website, and there is a map of chapters in Wisconsin. Send an email to info@momsforliberty.org and simply say, I live in this area, I need to know who to vote for, and there will be a response. So do that right away if you don't know who to vote for. I know time is a ticking. It's almost 2:00, but maybe this will get to the folks that are going to vote after work, or sometimes go vote before they pick up their kids. So let's just, I'm praying for the best for this election. Really, and the hard work that's been done is just amazing. So I want to show, I do want to play this. So this is a great. I'm so happy that Senator Johnson did this little spot with us. Here we are in Sheboygan at a local establishment, and that was on Sunday. And we'll take a listen. We'll start this from the beginning.
Hi, I'm Scarlett Johnson with Moms for Liberty, and I'm here with my Senator Ron Johnson. And I know that you always say that it's really important what happens at the local level. There's only so much you can do at the federal level, that we have to make the change locally. And April 1st in Wisconsin, we have school board elections and state superintendent election on top of the big state Supreme Court race. So I just wanted you to share your thoughts about how important it is to vote locally for these school boards.
Well, Scarlett and her Moms for Liberty have done a great job at finding great candidates to run for these local offices. And not only is it important that we take back our school boards and return to conservative principles, but every one of those candidates has their own little kitchen cabinet. They have their campaign teams that they bring out their friends, their family, their supporters to vote for them. At the same time, then they'll vote for the people up the ballot, like Donald Trump.
Yeah. And
we call it trick up elections. Scarlett's done a great job. Her group, Moms for Liberty, done a fabulous job. So support them, support those local candidates, and get out and vote on Tuesday.
thank you so much. Again, April 1st, get out and vote. It's so important. There's only so much that you can do at the federal level when it comes to what's happening in education. That's all local. So please get out and vote for Moms for Liberty endorsed or recommended candidates. Thank you all, and get out and vote April 1st.
This is so great. Has 283,000 views on X. This was also put on Facebook and Instagram. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's 500,000 views there. So that is awesome. Thank you, Senator Ron Johnson. You are the best. We love you in Wisconsin. What would we do without you? He was at every stop. You know, he doesn't stop. And then he's been doing, I'm sure you have been watching him all over the news today. He introduced Elon on Sunday. You can see this image here. And I was right up front. And thank you to my friend John Hiller, who works with the Trump advance team in the White House. John, you are the best. And thank you for always being very kind to Moms for Liberty and to me in supporting our activism. We have so many good friends, so many great people. I really can't say a bad word about anybody. I think everyone that I encounter just so awesome. I'm so thrilled with what we're doing in Wisconsin. And I really, no matter what happens, I am just really happy with my state, and I just want to keep it normal. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this terrible. Oh Lord, is she's a former teacher. Shocker, right? Francesca Hong in Madison. Shocking. She's a former teacher. She's also a big pain in the butt when I go to testify in Madison. She's the one, I think she asked, one of the questions that she asked someone testifying against legislation that would prevent school teachers from keeping secrets with parents about gender identity. And I'm talking about 5-year-olds, okay? There was no age. They could provide no age at which they think would be inappropriate for an administrator or school official to keep a secret with someone else's child, okay, a secret about their gender identity. So one of the questions she asked was, how do you find joy? Yeah. She thinks they act like such know-it-alls. It's very hard to deal with. So look at what she says. Yeah. Oh, gross. I'm not going to say it because it's gross. This was a live stream I had done earlier. I want to play this clip from the Charlie Kirk show.
So Scarlett,
Here.
so tell us about what Moms for Liberty is doing to fight this in this great state of Wisconsin.
We are doing so much. I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, and we often work with Turning Point in Wisconsin. So we really appreciate all the efforts that they're doing as well. The coalitions that are being built with the state and local GOP, it's amazing. And I've been witnessing this firsthand going all over the state of Wisconsin. But we have a Get Out the Vote ad that's been seen over 1 million times. We have invested in mom and dad ambassadors that travel the state, that talk about stories like this one in West Scotia and so many more. We talk about woke curriculum. A lot of people don't believe it's happening, and they don't believe it's happening in their school. And we prove to them that it is happening. We're targeting over 300,000 low propensity voters across the state. There are 400 school board races. Those are very important. And so we are funding with our PAC. We are funding some select races. We are sending out texts. We have 22 chapters, and each chapter and members are working to get sensible, common sense, conservative school board members elected. Where we have conservative school boards, this insanity just doesn't happen, and they return back to the basics and common sense. So everything is local. The more that you can do locally, the better. And we are supporting Brittany Kinzer in the state superintendent race, which is very, very important. And of course, we're supporting Brad Schimmel and the state Supreme Court race.
So again, just tell me really quick, where does this case stand with the young man who is basically the young ladies that are forced to watch pornographic humiliation rituals? Where does that stand now?
Right now, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has filed a Title IX complaint with the Trump administration, and there is a lawsuit filed with 2 families. And I really think that obviously now with Trump in office, that there's going to be some effort, hopefully, to defund this county, this school district. But just because we have Trump in office, which is terrific, but that's not enough. The woke never stop. So team sanity, we must work to win these elections on April 1st. Now, you can't early vote today, but tomorrow you can go vote and you can take 10 people with you because it matters. If we can get, right now, there are conservative Moms for Liberty endorsed candidates in Westosha running. And if they win, they could change this at the local level too. So that's a huge option. And, what's happening with judges, what we're seeing nationally, that's happening in Wisconsin as well. We need common sense judges that aren't going to legislate from the bench. And I'm sure, Charlie, I know you've talked about this, but there is a plan by the Democratic Party that if they win, if Susan Crawford wins, they are immediately going to gerrymander Wisconsin congressional districts so that 2 seats would be targeted and likely lost. And that could disrupt right now the Republican majority in the House. And you know what they're going to do if they get that majority? You know what they're going to do right away. They're going to go back to impeaching Trump. They're going to go after Doge. They're going to stop Trump any way that they can. And that's why this is so important, because all of the change that Trump is doing, which is tremendous, and I'm happy every day about it, but it is threatened by this simple race in Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court race. So if you voted for Trump in November, you need to vote for Brad Schimmel on April 1st tomorrow.
Very good. Scarlett, God bless you and keep fighting hard on the ground. And I hope that enough Republicans care about their state to show up for Brad Schimmel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Email us freedom.
I mean, what he said there is true. I hope that enough Republicans in Wisconsin care enough about our state to vote. I hope that the Trump supporters that got out, and God bless you, you got out and voted, some of you for the first time. Many of you maybe just kind of became disillusioned with politics, the Republican Party, whatever, or, you were a former Democrat or are a Democrat right now. And you just wanted to vote for change. My message is please come out and vote again, because this is a nonpartisan election. So if you are like, I'm just so done with the Republican Party, well, good news is this, there are no Republicans running right now. Technically, this is a nonpartisan election. We've got school board candidates who desperately need your vote. There was an election last year where we had just a tremendous candidate who lost by 37 votes. And the person who beat her was this completely woke, unqualified teacher who is currently sitting on my school board. And when we could have had this very qualified lawyer who grew up in Mequon, who deeply cared about the community, she lost by 37 votes to someone who rents an apartment and lives in, just moved here. I think she moved here just to run for the school board seat and doesn't have children, isn't married, doesn't own a house in the area, and doesn't really seem like this person wants to even be on the school board, but yet she won because she was endorsed by a bunch of unions and the Ozaki Democrat Party. And so lost by 37 votes. And it was just simply some people came out to vote and they voted for, at the time, my friend Dan Knodel for Senate. And they just didn't go down the ballot and vote for the school board candidates that were also recommended by the county GOP and recommended by Moms for Liberty here. And if you don't know who to vote for school board, again, please reach out, and I can let you know. I'm just need a quick drink. So I was on the Charlie Kirk show for two.
So Scarlett,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so tell us about.
For two segments. It was meant to be one. And what we started off talking about was the Westosha case, and what happened in Westosha. And that, if you don't know, that is in Kenosha County, and it is a more conservative area. And in what happened, make a long story short, and you can go to, I'm going to be posting the full clip on the X page, and I can show you that shortly. But what happened was, in December, I was made aware of a situation. I'll stop sharing the screen. I was made aware of a situation in which a biological boy who's 16, I'm told 200 pounds, so 6 feet tall, obvious male, and had a reputation for being a troublemaker, declared that he was trans, put on a skirt, and said that he wanted to change in the girls' locker room before PE class. Freshman PE girls were very uncomfortable, and they had good reason to be. It is alleged that he leered at them while they changed, that he openly stared and leered at them. It is alleged that he would strip nude. It is alleged that he would rub lotion on his genitalia. And when asked to stop, it is alleged that he said he was doing it to prevent chafing. It is alleged that he threatened to shoot up the school. It is alleged that he threw one of the girls' Chromebooks against the wall. It is alleged that he pushed one of the girls when she asked him to put his, and I won't say the word, his genitalia away and get out of their locker room. What I can say for sure, because Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has taken the case of two parents and two girls, Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, who are bravely moving forward with a lawsuit, and thank God for Will. They have filed a Title IX complaint. And in the documents of that legal filing, I saw the text messages that went back and forth between some of the girls and their parents, where they said they didn't want to go into the room. They were afraid that he was in there, that he was staring at her, that he was making her feel uncomfortable, that he was intimidating her. The girls say he was intimidating. It was scary. The girls proceeded to try to use bathroom stalls, but there aren't that many of them. And so they started to use the gender neutral family bathroom. There weren't there. I think, I don't know how many there are. There's maybe one or two. The girls, because they were trying to find ways to hide and away from this boy and change privately into their gym clothes, they were late for class and they were getting unexcused tardies and absences. I saw in the documents that we'll put with the filings that evidence of failing grades, evidence of unexcused absences. The girls were punished by the school because they wouldn't change with this boy in the locker room. They were kicked out of the gender neutral space. They were told that to tell that boy to use the gender neutral space, that would be discriminatory and it would violate school board policy and Title IX. Rather than file a complaint for the girls, rather than protect the girls, rather than use Title IX in its intended, for its intended use, to against the male for sexually harassing the girls, for intimidating the girls, for making them feel uncomfortable. Instead of that, the girls were told that they were in the wrong. The girls were told they were being dramatic, to suck it up. They were laughed at. They were told, get back in there. And if you don't, you're going to get a failing grade. You're going to have unexcused absences. You're going to get detentions. This is very much like the Deerfield, Illinois case that recently has, over the last few weeks. And shout out to the mom, Nicole, who's amazing. And we're going to meet up soon after this election. We'll probably do one of these together a couple times, I hope, because I think it'll take, I want to hear her I want to hear everything that's happened as much as she can share, because I think she is now involved in she has America First Legal defending her and her daughter. And she is unafraid. She's on Laura Ingraham, and I think she was on Charlie Kirk as well, and a bunch of shows. And she's working with my friend Shannon and my friend Marsha, who has one of our Moms for Liberty Illinois chapters. And Marsha is amazing. Marsha is the one that connected me with the Charlie Kirk producer. So she's great, and she's been doing the Lord's work in Illinois. And Shannon has been doing the Lord's work in Illinois, and my friend Shannon Adcock is the founder and leader of Awake Illinois, and she has been just a fierce mama bear fighter for a long time, and proud to call her a friend. So what's happening in Westosha? The male, the one kid that says, I'm trans, his feelings are prioritized and not the hundreds of girls. The girls, Charlie Kirk said this, and what an apt description. He said this was a humiliation ritual. The girls were forced to suffer a humiliation ritual. A humiliation ritual for the god of woke ideology. The girls were forced, that maybe they're young, maybe their first glimpse of male genitalia was in this traumatic situation. This is very traumatic for a 13-year-old girl. This is something that could cause extreme stress to the point that they may need counseling and services and help to get through it, because they're very young. And if they're anything like my daughter, 12 and 13, my daughter would be traumatized. This happens, FYI, too. I know this because if this happened to one of my daughters, police are gonna have to get me out of that school. Okay, I'm just saying, because my daughter is not going to suffer one moment of discomfort because some dude feels like a lady. Not happening. End of discussion. Not happening. Don't want to be the person coming between me, my family, and our kid. You don't want to be that person. I've got a big family, and I got brothers who are Marines, dad who's a Marine, and my husband. He don't want to be the person that's going to go after one of my kids. Just saying, don't want to do that. Putting it out there. Not to say, I think there a lot of, I think most parents feel the way I do. I think that they can be intimidated. And after 5 years, I've lost I am not fearful of these people anymore. And so, but I can understand what it was like. I remember what it was like when I was, when I thought that these people had actual power and that I thought that they could do some harm. Take it from me, they don't have power. You are in the majority, you're normal. And when you come out and you fight for your kids and you stand up and you do the right thing, you will never regret it. Ask Riley Gaines, ask any whistleblower, ask any person that is in Moms for Liberty. You won't regret getting out of your comfort zone and being the hero that your kids need. You'll never regret it, not one day. You'll never think, oh, I should have stayed quiet and I should have let my kids suffer. You'll never say that. And even if your kids say they don't want you to get involved, I mean, I'm the mom of 5 kids. Kids often say things that they don't mean. Like, they will thank you for getting involved. They will thank you for being tough. In a way, they're going to admire you for it. It may cause them some temporary embarrassment. But at the end of the day, you're the one parent out of an entire school that said, not my kid. And that's like, they'll know how much you love them, obviously respectful and not, but standing up for your child is never going to be something that you regret. And I think that's the biggest thing that we do at Moms for Liberty. And I hope that that's the thing that I do for people. Help them take away their inhibitions and make them feel like they're not alone and that they can stand up and that you've got to not care about the opinion of people that hate and despise you. They despise your way of life and who don't love your children. They don't even like them. If your kid is happy and living a good life and you have what's normal, but you're doing your best to keep your family together and you love your kid, they hate you. Sorry, newsflash. They don't like things that are normal because there's something wrong. There's something without. And that's why they're so unhappy. I mean, please come with me and let's go testify after this. Let's go testify. There's going to be, the Senate's going to hold hearings soon, and I need to pay attention to that, but on important bills that were just recently passed in the Assembly, great bills that protect women's sports at the collegiate level and K through 12 level, bills that prevent schools from keeping parents from kids, what's called the pronoun bill. There's a bunch of good legislation. So when Senate has hearings on that, come in person and see who you're up against, see who is representing their side. And you will know very, very quickly that you're on team normal and that's team insane, that you are on the side of common sense and they are on the side of nonsense, utter nonsense. And you also will have, I feel nothing but sadness for the children that are dragged to testify. One child in particular came with the mom who was clearly coaching this child, who identified as trans and had another brother that identified as trans, and a mom that was just delighted about it. I mean, again, what are the odds? What are the odds that 2, maybe 3 children in a household identify as trans and that the parent isn't certifiably insane? What are the odds that you're the one that's not normal, that you're weird and that's normal? I would say the odds are a gazillion to 1 no. I think Jordan Peterson said it much better than I just said it. The odds aren't high that you're not normal. they don't like to talk about public opinion polls. What they like to do is say, hey, we're holding this hearing in Madison, right next to the University of Madison, and then we have representatives from Planned Parenthood, ACLU. We've got, lobbyists from all these different organizations. We've got DPI, which is just down the street, organizing. We've got unions organizing. Come and see. We brought 300 people to testify in Madison, coached by all of these lobbyist groups. This is real. This is the opinion of the state of Wisconsin. So, and you don't even know, how many, where are these lobbyists from? Are they from other states, whatever? Versus actual polling data that shows that upwards of 70 to 80% of Americans and Wisconsinites do not agree that these teenage girls in Westosha should be forced to undress while a naked 16-year-old boy pleasures himself. And to say, don't do that, is not inclusive. You're not providing a sense of belonging. You should allow your girls to essentially become the pornographic fodder of a deranged boy, allegedly. I think that any normal person would say no. Even if it's as simple as there's a boy that thinks he's a girl that's in there changing, and maybe he's not doing any of these sort of really terrible things. Maybe this boy is just off in a corner and thinks he's a girl, and that's just making other girls uncomfortable. Even that's just not okay. It's not good for anyone. It's not good for anyone. I also agree with, I know that sometimes the solution is gender neutral spaces. It's clearly not, because in Westosha, the kid's refusing to use it because he's a girl. In Elkhorn, same situation. A boy that identified as a girl, or is it a girl that identified as a boy? I can't remember, but a middle school kid, they're like, hey, we've got a gender neutral space. Nope, doesn't want to use it. Mom does not want the trans child to use that, wants to affirm this new identity. So you make these spaces, but the kid that's identifying as trans and the parent with Transhausen by proxy, who's cheerleading this on, do not want that space. They want you to affirm. They want their son in the girls' bathroom, just like all the other girls, even though he's got testicles and male genitalia and XY chromosomes and will grow facial hair. It doesn't matter. This is a girl. We're all inseminated persons now. So, I mean, this is what you're up against. So this whole solution, gender neutral, let's just make it simple, because guess what? We've got President Trump in office, and now we've got a new Department of Education, and we have a new enforcer in the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights. And we've got a definition of Title IX that says there are two sexes, males and females. That's it. How about this? How about we just have bathrooms for boys, bathrooms for girls, and that's it. That's it. And you can you want to identify as a flying unicorn at your house, do it. Go ahead. Your parents want to do that, fine. Can't stop you. But when you come into school, you aren't going to identify as a cat and start meowing and purring and wearing little ears. You're not going to identify as a dog. You're not going to identify, if you're a boy, you're not going to identify as a girl. You're not going to demand that everyone engage in your rituals and, pay homage to whatever, to the woke god of transgenderism. You aren't going to do that, because this is a school and this is where you need to learn. And we're going to learn how to read, and we're going to learn math. And if you want to do any of this other stuff, you're going to do it on your own time. And that's the end of it. And if parents parents don't like it and the kid doesn't like it, then you're going to have to figure out another situation for education. But the majority of kids are here to learn, and we're going to teach them. Same thing if a kid is unsafe, threatened to shoot up the school, you're gone. You're gone. You're gone. You're out. You are not, you now have to be expelled. You don't get, there's no restorative justice for that. I'm sorry. Like, you have to think about the majority of the kids. Throw a Chromebook against the wall, harass girls, you're out. The girls are fine. The boy is out. It's really very easy. Common sense. Common sense. We need school board members. Like, there are many awesome school board members that know this is common sense, and they will write policy accordingly. Westosha has written some terrible policy, and they stood by it in a 5-2 vote in December. But other districts have done a really good job, and Moms for Liberty has played a role in that, to which I am very proud. So school board races are important because look at the numbers. Wisconsin we have not recovered. Not only have we not recovered since COVID, we have been going down since before COVID. Okay. That's what we really need to talk about, that these numbers have been going down, down, down. COVID just slid a little further, and we're not even leveling off. We're not even leveling off. We just keep going down, down, down. Wisconsin Department of Instruction sucks. It sucks. Jill Underly is terrible. She is a political hack. She is not, and she doesn't want to educate kids. She wants to hold office and go. Apparently, she likes to go on drives to Representative Brian Stiles' main office or headquarters, and on a Sunday, and say, "Oh, look, he's not here." She takes the time out of her day to do that. How cringe. How cringe. Grow up, lady, grow up. Because, if I took a little meander down to Madison to your office, I very much think that you will not be in, and you won't even let me in to have an appointment, in to see you if I don't have an appointment. So, she takes pictures with Kamala Harris. She is so obviously political. It's not even funny. It's, it's like, give Brittany Kinzer a chance, because she will at least, you can't really do worse than Jill Underly. So, but I actually like Brittany, and politically we don't agree on a lot, but as far as education, I trust her judgment, and I think she will do a far better job than Jill Underly. And I think that she is a genuine caring person, and I think she's really got great ideas on education. She has gone into Milwaukee, and she's created charter schools and rocket schools, and she's worked with educators, and she's positive, and she is data driven, and she actually knows what it takes to raise the reading scores of kids who struggle, who are from disadvantaged backgrounds. And she is open to new ideas and innovation. And she is not going to spend her time thinking of new ways to incorporate a land acknowledgement into a teacher training session. And she is also going to be transparent and open those books up so that we can see how our tax dollars are spent. Where did the ESSER funds go? And how much are we spending on stuff that we don't need to be spending? And how could we take those funds and use them and better apply them? She is also for school choice as an option. She's not afraid of school choice, because she intends to make public schools so good that parents will want to choose them. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want public schools to be so good that when you're looking at the private schools, you're like, you know what? I don't know. Like, the public school's pretty good here. Maybe I don't need to send my kid to a private school. So if you have good, big plans for education, you're not afraid of new ideas. You're not afraid of giving kids a choice. When there are families trapped in areas where it's going to take a while, it'll take a while to improve the schools. So, hey, here's a voucher so that you can choose where your tax dollars go. And we spend a lot. We spend $8 billion on education every year. I believe that figure is correct. In Wisconsin. That's a lot of money. Half of your property tax dollars go to education. And then state dollars and federal dollars. And now President Trump is committed to decentralizing the federal Department of Education and giving more money to the states. I don't want Jill Underley to get one more penny. If we're going to get more money, and some of it might be earmarked for charter schools, for more innovative schools, for trade schools. She's also supportive of bringing back trade schools. I mean, how great would it be if a kid that doesn't want to go to college but wants to go to a 2-year trade school and graduate debt-free, making 80 grand a year? That's pretty nice to be 20 years old making 60, 80 grand a year with a trade degree and the skills to do great things in life. I think that's pretty awesome because not every kid wants to go to a 4-year college. And frankly, let's be real, 4-year college, a lot of the kids end up like asking, how would you like your Starbucks today when they're done? We don't need more kids with gender studies degrees. We need more kids that can do computer programming, that can fix things, that can build things, that can make things. We need to be a country that makes things again. And we need a workforce that knows how to make things. We need, and I am a person, like I have my son graduating from medical school. My daughter, I have a daughter has a baby, and her son and her husband is in the Air Force, and she's trying to raise a baby and attend nursing school, and her husband's in the Air Force. And there's all different ways to get an education. And maybe I am now open for my kids like me. Hey, I used to say, oh, 4-year college, that's it. That's the only way. 4-year college, get this, that, like, and that is that's great. I have bachelor's degree, went to mass, went to school, graduate school, was accepted to law school, all that stuff. But I am now open to other ideas. Trade school, great, if that would make you happy, because frankly, I don't need my kids going to a school where they can learn how to be a good little Marxist. I'm very disillusioned with all levels of education right now, and things have to change, and I hope they change much faster. But there are those just clinging to the old, this DEI system, and there's a lot of money to be made in kids going to 4-year colleges that cost 80 grand a year so that they could get a degree in education. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, go to a state school. If you're going to go to a school out of state that's going to be expensive, have a really good reason. That's a sidebar. But I like Brittany a lot, and I'm getting off track here a little. And I think that I really hope that she wins. And then, of course, Brad Schimmel, we have discussed at length why it's so important that he wins, because all eyes are on Wisconsin right now. All eyes are on Wisconsin. It's shocking to me how Democrats are just saying like, hey, the House of Representatives is for sale. Vote for Susan Crawford, and she's going to deliver. She's going to give you 2, maybe 3 congressional seats, because we're just going to redraw the races. So just call them races. We'll figure out something, and it doesn't matter what the how we got to this legal reasoning. We've got a kangaroo Supreme Court, state Supreme Court that's just going to like, yep, it's a race, redraw it. And then we've got a Tony Evers as governor. And frankly, if the Assembly and Senate get in their way, they can just redraw our Wisconsin maps again. I mean, as soon as, I mean, literally, was it, I mean, did they wait a full day before Janet Prolasevich won to redraw the Wisconsin maps? I mean, we had a super majority in the Senate and a near super majority of that. That's what they were afraid of. It was getting close to a veto, like that they could veto Tony Evers. So close, and they had to stop that. And the 2022 state Supreme Court race was, I think Dan Kelly was outspent 10-1, and it was a kind of it was a bit of a slaughter. He lost by a lot, and they just went after him, and they spent so much money. And now we have Elon Musk and the America PAC. We've got Turning Point. We've got Moms for Liberty. We've got a more robust effort by the Republican Party to invest in the state Supreme Court race. And now we're only being outspent 2-1. The image that Elon Musk has bought this election is ridiculous. If you live in Wisconsin, you know it's ridiculous. The ads in Wisconsin for Susan Crawford for the last 3 months, it has been overwhelming. Where Brad Schimmel has, he is doing the work. He has to do the ground game because there hasn't been the funding to do, to just, carpet bomb the airwaves with ads that are total lies. She's had the money. They need some more money. They just go to JB Trickster and say, we need $1 million. It seems pretty easy. Like, they have the old cast of the West Wing or some Broadway actors do a little fundraiser. They call up Steven Spielberg and the Glitterati, or maybe they get J-Lo to come in or something and give them money. It's like, boom, they, act blue. And it's just this constant flow of money. And so finally things are not even evenly matched, but a bit more fair because we've gotten better at fundraising, and we've got a PAC that Elon Musk's, involved with. And now, Elon Musk is buying the elections. It's crap. It's just crap. And if you believe it, you watch too much CNN and you get too much news from TikTok, and it's just not true. It's just not true. Elon Musk came to Wisconsin, and the whole giving out $1 million thing, he said right out front, he said, I'm doing this to get attention. He's like, I'm trying to get attention, and it's free media, and it drives, the left crazy. And now that I have your attention, why don't you vote for Brad Schimmel? That's what he did. And he's doing it because he knows what's at stake. That, like Hakeem Jeffries has said, they're going to redraw congressional districts and find ways to get 2 or 3 Wisconsin Republicans in a special election, draw the district boundaries that are already very close. That's Derek Van Orden, Representative Derek Van Orden, and Representative Brian Stiles. They're very, they've won. They've fought valiantly. They're great congressmen. Representative Van Orden's a great guy, former Navy SEAL, amazing wife. Brian is tremendous. He has been on the campaign trail, like at every step, lots of energy, really nice person, good man, great congressman. They love him in Kenosha. All my friends there, like he's tremendous, great, doing a great job representing his constituency. And that all goes away. That goes away. And if you saw the people, their opponents last year, the people they were running against, that would likely win if they redraw the district boundaries, oh my gosh, would we be in trouble? We'd be in trouble. And that would be the end of Trump. By 2026, there'll be a lame duck presidency. You take control of the House away from the GOP, and it's going to be 2 years of nothing getting done. Impeachment, they'll try to block every judicial appointment. They'll try to block everything that he does. It's just not what we want. We voted for Trump in Wisconsin and in this country because we want things to be different. We want normalcy. We want prosperity, and we're done with the insanity of the left. We're done with their transgender madness and their like deep rooted love for Venezuelan gangs that they will bring into the country, because if that's a byproduct of buying a new electorate, so be it. They don't care. Bring in all the rapists and mass murderers we need to buy ourselves a country. That is truly what happens when you buy votes. And you bring in illegal immigrants and you give them Social Security cards and you give them the money that should be going to Americans. It's wrong. And so I've been on a rant long enough. I think I'm going to post some more stuff before I get my kids. And I might do another live stream. Why not? Because if I have to talk all day, if I have to talk till I'm hoarse, I'm going to do whatever I have to do so that we get folks out to vote. Or if you voted, just excited to get more people out to vote. I could talk all day about these things that are so important. And I've been so lucky to have this behind the scenes look, to be involved in the campaigns, to be on the Trump bus tour, to be a part of Schimmel's tour, to travel the state and talk to the best people in the whole world, Wisconsin patriots, Wisconsin common sense, everyday regular people like me. I'm just an ordinary mom, and I love talking to other ordinary people because ordinary people are the salt of the earth. This country was built by ordinary people. It will remain a shining city on the hill because ordinary people realize that they can do extraordinary things. And all they have to do is just give back to their state, to their community, to their country, just a little bit. You don't have to storm the beaches of Normandy. You do have to vote. And you do have to make the effort to find out more about the candidates. And you do have to care about what's happening in your school board and in your schools, because these are our future citizens and they are sometimes the largest employer of a community. And because it's the moral thing to do. It's morally your obligation as a citizen to care about the children in your community, because they're the future. They are the future. They're the legacy that we leave behind. They will be the future mayors. They will be the future congressmen. They will be the future employers. They will be the future school teachers, doctors. And if we just Netflix and chill and tune out the real world, eventually the real world comes for you. And eventually tyranny comes for you too. And so please care about these issues. And please follow us at Moms for Liberty. Please follow me and support your local GOP, support your local Moms for Liberty, support your local everything. Just get involved locally and talk to people who think differently than you. Don't be afraid to talk to people that think differently than you. Don't be afraid to wear your MAGA hat, to put up your sign. And don't be afraid to be a joyful warrior. That's our motto. Like, don't be afraid. Be joyful. Be respectful. That doesn't mean that you become a Matt. You're joyful, yes. Warrior, yes. You're still a warrior. You're still fighting. You're just fighting in a way that's honest, decent, moral, and true, and just. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if someone feels uncomfortable. Too bad. You don't have to purposely make people feel uncomfortable, but if being who you are, or saying what you believe, or liking Elon Musk, that makes someone uncomfortable, well, that's just too bad, right? That's just too bad. You have the right to be who you are just as much as they do. And if you're like me, you're not imposing yourself on anybody. Even lots of times I feel like people on the other side are imposing themselves on me, and I wish they wouldn't, and I don't like it. But that's why I don't try to impose myself, but I am going to be real. And now I have to go because I have to pick up my daughter, and I think she's calling me. But thanks if you've been listening for a while, thanks. And I hope that I've said something that inspires you, and I hope you get out and vote. And I will be back. I'm going to talk about some other things later, and I'm going to post some more things, and I'm going to hopefully I would like to try to bring on some other people to talk about what's going on in their community, some boots on the ground type thing. So I will be back. I hate to end it because we actually have a lot of people watching live. It's pretty cool, but I'll be back. Bye.